Good morning, learners. Welcome to Black Slides Online Secondary School. We meet now to revise the 2026 NED mock exam, Agriculture Paper 1. Agriculture Paper 1. Welcome once again. We give so much credit to the teachers from the north who set up this great paper. And here at Black Slides, we are inspired by them to revise this with our students across the country. So much respect to the teachers from NED, most of whom are Management examiners. We accord respect to them. Welcome without wasting your precious time. Let's be together in this revision session, revising the 2026 mock exam, especially Agriculture Paper 1. We believe that with these revisions, you're going to ace your exams and pass very well. Welcome once again. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, consider subscribing to the channel so that every time we upload a new lesson, you become the first to be notified. Invite your friends to join us and subscribe to the channel so that we are able to reach out to as many students as possible, as many candidates as possible to revise with us so that they also realize beautiful results in their MSCE examinations. Welcome, learners. Without wasting our time, your beautiful time, welcome to section A, which is 70 marks. And the candidates are required to answer all questions in the spaces provided. This is the structure of your paper, money paper. I always advise my learners, my students, to know their paper structure. Knowing the paper structure is the gateway to passing. It helps you to manage your time properly. It also helps you to strategize how you are going to approach the paper in the main exam. So know the paper structure, whatever subject it is, be it English, geography, history, physics, chemistry, math, paper 1, paper 2, and everything else. Make sure you know the structure of the paper. So for agriculture, chemistry, physics, and biology, the papers have two sections. Paper 1 has two sections, section A and section B, where section A carries 70 marks and section B carries 30 marks, make it 100 marks. Welcome, learners. So question number 1. Mention any two activities involved in processing maize. Processing. Two activities involved in processing maize. Processing means, especially when it has to do with food processing, it involves preparing the product, whether either for storing or for consumption, or for selling or consumption, for whatever activity So preparing the product for sale, for food, or otherwise, or even for storage. So what activities are done? The question is asking us what activities are done to process maize, be it for selling it, for eating it, or for storage. So there are a number of things that need to be done before those things are done. So one of them is dehusking. Dehusking, the maize needs to be dehusked, meaning you have to remove the outer part of the cob, remove the outer part of the cob, the peels and all that is there, remove them. That's called dehusking. It has to be shelled. This is when you remove the kernels, the seeds from the cob. That's called shelling. And then you have to dry it. Drying means exposing the maize to heat in order to evaporate moisture from it or to lower the moisture content. The maize can be milled or ground, which is converting the kernels, the maize seeds, into flour. Grinding, milling. Also, it also involves removing the bran from it. Maize needs to be cleaned to make sure that the seeds, the kernels, are free from foreign bodies or non-maize parts. So it has to be cleaned. You also have to sieve it, meaning to separate the smaller particles which are non-maize in nature, or categorize large seeds from smaller ones. If all you want is to eat it, it needs to be boiled, it needs to be cooked. These activities are involved in processing maize, whether for eating, for selling, or for storage. In order to store it, you need to dehusk it, to shell it, to separate the maize kernels from the cob, and also dry this maize in order to reduce moisture content. Remember that moisture favors the growth of moths and fungus, so that will spoil the maize. All right, so you need to dry it, expose it to heat, especially heat from the sun, to remove the water moisture, the moisture from the maize before it is stored. Milling it, converting it to seed, to flour, sorry, converting it, the maize to flour involves milling it, grinding it, and then you can use it for cooking things like nsima and others. Cleaning it, the maize, so that it is free from non-maize materials. Sieving it, whereby you are separating the large seed kernels from the smaller ones. And then if all you want is to get it cooked and eaten, you have to boil it. Too much, so any two, don't write all of them. Just two is quite all right. The number of marks here will tell you how many of them you should write. That means you only need two. Question number 2, state two main aims, two aims of crop improvement. Crop improvement involves all the technologies employed in order to improve the quality of crops. So the aims of crop improvement or crop technology. The aims are in order to improve ability of plants to divert the biomass to harvestable portions. Biomass means everything. It means stems, um, leaves, flowers, all those together are called biomass. So the biomass must be converted to harvestable portions. If it's maize, then it means that during photosynthesis, the sugar made must be converted to seeds, which is starch, which is the goal, be harvested. Welcome, learners. So one aim of crop improvement, whatever technology is employed, is to improve the ability of plants to divert the mass biomass, the whole plant, to the portions that need to be harvested. It also helps in developing crops that are resistant to pests and diseases. So the crop technology, crop improvement is made to develop varieties that are resistant to pests and diseases. It also helps to improve quality of crops. Quality means everything. Seed, seed size, or if it is the harvestable portions are the roots. It can be the root size, like the tubers, the cassavas. If it's onions, the bulbs must be of high quality, and that requires for crop technology. It also helps to develop crops that can withstand poor environmental conditions. We call them climate smart. Uh, we call this climate smart agriculture. So you are developing varieties that can withstand harsh conditions, such as drought, for example, drought-resistant crops. All right. It helps to develop early maturing crops. Apart from that, it also helps to produce crops that are easy to store. It will also help to increase quality of crop yields and improve quality of raw materials. All these are the aims of crop technology or crop improvement. So make sure you know all of them so that you can give any two in the exam. Welcome, learners. Explain any two disadvantages of vegetative propagation. All right, this is planting crops using their vegetative portions like stems, roots, and others. All right, propagation is just planting, all right, or multiplying by growing planting portions of plants, vegetative portions, such as the stems, the roots, and others. So what's the disadvantage? This has a number of disadvantages. We are asked to explain two. That means each point has 2 marks. So two of them, it means will give us 2 times 2 is 4 marks. Welcome, learners. All right. So vegetative planting materials cannot be stored for a long time. Let's say you're using stems for growing. So that what will happen is they will wilt and die. Right. And once they wilt and die, they'll be rendered useless and they cannot be used for propagation or for planting. So 2 marks. By saying vegetative planting materials cannot be stored for a long time, that's 1 mark. Since they wilt and die, that's another one. So if you are using, let's say you're planting potatoes. For planting potatoes, we use these stems. So the stems, once exposed to harsh weather, like say hot temperature, they can wilt and die, and then they'll be rendered useless. So 2 marks. Sometimes they are bulky, meaning they are too heavy, therefore difficult to transport. All right, so if there are too many of them, too bulky, too heavy, it becomes difficult to transport them and prepare them for planting. Again, this is 2 points. So you have the first part, they are bulky, therefore difficult to transport, one, and prepare them for planting. That's another mark, like two. There's high risk of transmitting diseases from the parent to the new plants. Let's say you are planting sugar canes, for example, and you have cut the sugarcane stems in two pieces. You want to you want to propagate or to plant them somewhere. All right, it may happen that as you are cutting the sugarcane stems, they have diseases also. These diseases can be passed on to the new plants. That's again a disadvantage. Sometimes they are difficult to introduce. It's difficult to introduce crop variety. Hence, crop improvement becomes difficult. If you continually get stems from, portions from already existing crops and they use the same to plant, that there's less or no room for crop improvement. So therefore, it's hard to introduce variation. Any of these points uh, can be picked. Make sure you know all of them so that if you are asked for any tool, you shouldn't have problems to pick those and present as your answers. Welcome, learners. My name is Mr. Paul Chilola, your teacher on this platform. We are revising agriculture, paper one from NED. Welcome, learners. This is a very important paper. Papers from NED and the other divisions are very, very important papers to revise before you sit for your MAC examinations. Welcome once again. Subscribe to the channel and also consider the option of enrolling into our main classroom at only 15,000 kwacha. You are going to be in. Right, so whether you're in Form 3 or you're in Form 4 or whatever level you are doing, even Form 1 and Form 2, you're enrolling those. Welcome, learners. All right, so plant materials need to be handled with care, otherwise they can be destroyed. So that means they need extreme care. They need extreme care, all right, so that they're not destroyed. So once again, you need to know all of these so that in case the examiner is asking you for two like this, make sure you know all of them so that you can give any two without much struggling, And also, please make sure that when you're presenting a point, that point is supported very well. So for example, this one, vegetative plant material cannot be stored for a long time. That's a point. You have to support it. Why? Why not being stored for a long time? It's because they wilt and die. They are bulky, meaning they are heavy, therefore difficult to transport and prepare them for planting. All right, so each point must have two paths. Please develop that habit. This applies to all other subjects, physics, chemistry, biology. When you're explaining a point, something, make sure whatever point you raise should be accompanied by an explanation. One D, state any two factors that affect soil depth. Soil depth is the extent to which the top soil gets into It's the thickness, basically. This refers to the thickness of the topsoil, soil depth, right? And it's measured in terms of centimeters, going deep into the soil. All right, so state any two factors that affect soil depth. All right, so there are a number of factors that determine the extent to which the top layer goes into the vertical distance downwards into the soil. One of them is the slope of land. Land that is slopy and steeper will have less soil depth than one which is flat. Okay, maybe probably because of challenges like soil erosion and other problems, because the soil, the topsoil may be washed away by water. All right, so that makes it the soil less deep. Okay, so slope of land is one factor. Another factor is the parent material. Parent materials that are resistant to erosion form deeper soils. All right, the parent material, the rocky material that is prone to soil erosion will have less deep soils. Another one is age of the soil. The older the soil, the deeper it is, and the younger the soil, the less deeper the soil is. Welcome, learners. This is Black Slides Online Secondary School. Mention any two principles of grazing management or feeding management of livestock. Grazing, that's enabling the livestock to feed on grass, grazing on grass, right? So how do we manage grazing? The principles, what principles govern the grazing of livestock or cattle? All right, so one of the principles is to match grazing to pasture carrying capacity. Pasture carrying capacity is the number of livestock that can be accommodated per unit area of pasture land. So make sure that the number of cattle, the number of livestock you have are matching with the size of the land that is available for grazing. Another factor is providing sufficient grazing intervals, which are called the resting periods. All right, make sure you give your grazing land some time to recover, to enable more grass to grow on it. So do not overgraze a piece of grassland in order to give it time to recover, to be restored. That's called providing sufficient grazing intervals or times, which is called resting periods. So these are 2 points which are the principles of grazing management. Welcome, learners, to the platform. We are revising a paper from NED, this is agriculture. Explain any two ways in which food fortification is important. Food fortification is simply the process of adding vitamins to food. So how is it important to add vitamins to food? Right. Vitamins and other nutrients added to food is called fortification. So it adds critical nutrients to everyday foods. Well, that's one mark. Hence improving the people's immune system against diseases. Fortification is when you add food nutrients. Food nutrients include vitamins, proteins, and the other essential nutrients, critical nutrients. So adding those to food, you will add critical nutrients to everyday foods, hence improving the people's immune system, the ability to fight infection. It also allows cost way of it gives a low cost way of supplying nutrients to the vulnerable people, those who are malnourished or undernourished, using the existing food systems. All right, so adding food nutrients to food is actually a low cost way of supplying nutrients to the vulnerable people. Vulnerable people here include the malnourished, the undernourished people, those who are on therapies like HIV positive people, or the elderly and the others. It's an easier way to do that. So foods that are already fortified will supply the vulnerables with an essential nutrients for their improved health. All right. So we are saying a low cost way of supplying nutrients to the vulnerable using the existing food systems. Welcome, learners. It also does not require dietary changes as it uses the foods that people eat regularly. All right. It doesn't really involve or require drastic changes on diet because food fortification already uses the foods that people eat in everyday life. It also delivers proven healthy and economic benefits through breaking malnutrition and poverty, leading to long-term economic stability. Make sure you know all of these so that you can give any tool when the question requires you to do so. Welcome, learners, to Black Slides. In case you have questions, don't hesitate to contact us on the number shown here. Outline number 2C, outline any two disadvantages of hybridization in agriculture. Disadvantages of hybridization. All right. In agriculture, hybridization has a number of disadvantages in agriculture, one of whom is that farmers become dependent on seed companies, hence lose resilient local varieties and face higher costs. All right, that's getting hybrid or using hybrid varieties. All right, has disadvantages. So farmers rely heavily on seed companies like Seedico and others. Hence, they lose resilient local varieties that face higher costs and face higher costs. Okay? All right. It also leads to influx of commercial hybrids that require specific fertilizers. Some varieties call for specific fertilizers, specific pesticides, and seeds annually, which is highly not cost effective. It is also labor demanding. It demands a lot of labor in order to be able to care for the crops, the hybrid crops, up to maturity. The offspring of such crops, as well as animals, sometimes may not inherit desirable qualities. Qualities such as high resistance to diseases and pests, maybe quality of seeds, and the other qualities. So any of these 2 points will give you 2 marks. State any two livestock breeding systems. Breeding systems. There are basically 3 types of systems, breeding systems. Namely, we have inbreeding. Inbreeding is when you make the livestock within the same family. Let's say parents and siblings or cousins to mate and produce young ones, to have sex, or to have sexual intercourse, if you like it, but it's referring to animals here, livestock. So livestock from the same family, let's say parents having intercourse with children within the same livestock, or cousins and uncles, that's called the inbreeding. There can be a better definition of this, but the question is simply requiring us to mention the breeding systems. One of them is inbreeding. Crossbreeding is when you take livestock from different families and then you crossbreed them, like you make them mate or have sexual intercourse to produce the little ones, to produce offsprings. Crossbreeding, that's called crossbreeding. And then you have outbreeding. Outbreeding is when you source the breeding livestock from totally exclusively different families. These mate and they produce young ones or offspring. So take note, not all of them, the three of them, so that you can mention any two for 2 marks. Welcome, learners. 3B, explain any two importance of steaming up in nannies. Nannies are basically pregnant goats. These are pregnant goats, and steaming up simply means giving them additional food. Simply put, giving them extra food is called the steaming up. Nannies are pregnant goats, strictly. So, steaming up or giving pregnant goats extra food would give them sufficient nutrients to the growing fetus, to the baby goat inside. So it supplies nutrients, sufficient nutrients to growing fetus of goats. It also gives nannies, the pregnant goats, enough energy for parturition. Parturition is just the giving birth. The process of giving birth. As they are giving birth, they must have enough energy for them to deliver their babies easily. It also gives sufficient nutrients to nannies for production of milk. Remember that the young goats, once born, will need milk to survive, to eat, for nutrition. So it gives them the tendency to produce more milk. Explain any one cultural measure of controlling soil degradation. Cultural measures are the things that we do on a daily basis to control soil degradation. Soil degradation is when soil loses its quality, such as fertility, for example. All right, so what are the things that we need to do on a daily basis to control soil degradation? So one of them is to plant trees and grasses. Trees and grasses reduce the speed of water or runoff. In the process, you are reducing soil erosion. So planting trees, practicing crop rotation, alternating closely related growing crops and partially growing crops as closely growing crops offer protection on the soil. Plants that grow closely are able to protect soil erosion as they hinder raindrops from washing away soils. So alternating closely growing crops and sparsely growing crops. Let's say if you grow maize, which is sparsely spaced, all right, this year. Next year, try to grow something else, like say groundnuts, all right, in order to protect the soil from being washed away. These are the things that we do on a daily basis. They control soil degradation. Another one is mulching. This reduces the speed of runoff, and in the process, it also provides soil protection from raindrop impact. In the process, this reduces soil erosion. Welcome, learners. This is Black Size Online Secondary School, and I happen to be your teacher, Mr. Paul Chilora. We are revising the NED paper, Agriculture Paper 1. Let's be together up to the end. Understanding every question that we are looking at, it is going to help you a great deal as you prepare for your exams, which are barely 2 weeks away. Welcome once again. "3D, define a feeding ration." A feeding ration is defined as the specific daily allowance of feed given to an animal. The amount of feed that you give to an animal is called a ration. A ration. 4. Figure 1 is a diagram showing the process on the farm. Use it to answer the questions that follow. Step number 1, collection of animal droppings. Placing animal droppings in a digester for some time, and then collection of methane gas. This process is known as a biogas production. By saying that, you have 1 mark. Welcome, learners. So, the process of biogas production involves collection of animal droppings, placing animal droppings in a digester for some time to allow for a reaction to occur to produce collection of, then you collect the methane gas. That's biogas. Methane gas is biogas. Of course, you also have methane gas that comes from petroleum. That one is not biogas, but this one, because it involves the action of microbes to act on the droppings of animals, then it's a biological process. Because it's biological. So biogas production. Explain any 2 ways in which the process mitigates climate change. How does biogas production, as illustrated in the diagram before this slide, mitigate climate change? To mitigate means to reduce the impact of. Mitigate means to reduce the impact, the effects, reducing the effects of climate change. All right. So biogas production prevents direct methane emissions into the atmosphere. Methane has more potential at warming the earth than other greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide. It also replaces use of fossil fuels, as it is used as a source of clean energy for cooking and heating. All right, you are going to reduce by making or relying on biogas for cooking and heating. It means you're trying to replace the use of fossil fuels. Examples of fossil fuels are diesel, petrol, and others. Question number 5. Figure 2 is a diagram showing a source of farm power. Use it to answer the questions that follow. Identify the source of manpower. This is supposed to be a man. He's doing something. It appears he's applying fertilizers to a field of his crops, which seems to me like rice. All right, so it's applying fertilizers to rice. It's broadcasting actual fertilizer to rice. So since this is being done by a man or a person, so I'm taking a bit backwards on the process. The biogas production mitigates or reduces the impact of climate change. One, by preventing direct methane emissions, replacing use of fossil fuels, and solid and liquid byproduct is used as manure, biofertilizers, reducing the need for synthetic fertilizers. So back to this. Um, so this must be manpower or human power because the process is done by a human being. It can be a man or woman, but it's a human power. I'm afraid to say manpower because it will connotate that we are referring to the man only and not the woman. That's not the case. Number 5B, explain any two ways of improving the workforce for the manpower, for the farm power. How can we improve the workforce? All right, this can be done by improving the health of people, ensuring that they're strong enough for the work, give them enough food, good quality nutrition, make sure that they're fit to do the work. All right. You also have to train them, train the workforce to improve their skills and efficiency at doing the work. It would also be necessary to give them enough food, to give them energy in carrying out farm operations, motivate them with good working conditions so that they can be willing to work, give them good pay, enough money, pay them enough so that they can be motivated to do the work. Assign duties according to expertise in order to not to burden the workforce. So make sure you assign work according to the expertise of the people working there. Provide them with the efficient tools to carry out operations smoothly. Welcome learners. This is Black Slides Online Secondary School. We are revising the 2026 NED Mock Agriculture Paper 1. Welcome once again. Also promoting teamwork and cooperation to minimize conflicts. So train the people to learn to work together rather than to be conflicting all the time. That can affect the delivery of their duties. Also ensure rules and regulations are clearly stated to guide workers in the course of their work. So 4 marks. 4 marks. Make sure you know all these so that you can give any 2. Take note that each point has 2 parts. One part has 1 mark. Each part is 1 mark, and the whole the whole point has 2 marks. So if you give 2 points, it means you have 4 because each point has 2 points, making it 2 times 2, which is 4. Okay, it is also important to provide efficient supervision to ensure quality work. Welcome once again. Explain any 2 effects of gender biases in agricultural technology. Gender biases in agricultural technology is a feeling, is a belief that technological advancements are only good for men and not women. That has effects, negative effects. All right. So one of the effects is that it leads to food insecurity due to low yields, as a result of not using technologies. If some people are not allowed, like women not being allowed to use technology in agriculture, it may lead to food insecurity, not much food being produced. Since it means there would be few people applying technology, therefore less food output. There's increased poverty due to low income levels as farmers cannot afford basic needs. There's also low rate of national development due to low farm output. Hence, government cannot collect enough taxes. So biases have effects, gender biases. All right, low farmer incomes due to reduced production, which reduces surplus for sale. Now, make sure you know all these points so that you can give any tool when required to do so. It can also lead to low agriculture production since most females perform farm operations manually, delaying operations. All right, all these are the effects of gender biases in agricultural technology. Welcome, Lena. Table 1, this must be question B, part B. Table 1 shows a farm record kept by a farmer. Use it to answer the questions that follow. Column 1 shows price of rice in Malay Kwacha, which is 5,000. Variable cost, the cost of variables is 3,000, 340,000. Fixed costs 40,000. Kwacha. So the question is, sorry, calculate the amount in kgs of rice the farmer has to produce in order to start making profits. All right. How much how much rice should the farmer produce in order to start making profits? So in this case, the total cost, which is the variable cost, plus the fixed cost is 380,000. So to find the amount of rice that the farmer needs to produce in order to start making profits, we take the total cost, which is the variable cost plus the fixed cost, divided by the cost per bag, rather per kg. That will give us 76 kgs. So the farmer has to produce 76 kgs and above in order to make profits. Question number 7. Explain any two ways farmers deal with risks and uncertainties in agricultural production. Risks and uncertainties. These are the unforeseeable circumstances that affect agriculture. So explain any two ways farmers must deal with such risks and the uncertainties. So farmers must practice mixed farming and mixed cropping. A farmer would have something to depend on in terms of crop failure. Let's say there's drought. Okay, so drought can affect one crop and the other one may not be affected, such that in the event, the farmer will depend on the crop that has survived. Ensuring enterprising A farmer is compensated for any risk and the eventuality that may occur on the farm enterprises. Ensuring means this has to do with insurance. So covering the crops or the produce with an insurance policy. So in case there's drought, a farmer may be compensated for any risk and the eventuality that may occur on the farm. Having sound net capital used as a cushion in times of price fluctuation. This should be a cushion, not caution. Right, so having sound net capital, a good capital, to use it as a cushion in terms of price change. Guarding against theft and vandalism, this helps to prevent loss of produce to theft. All right, so using security guards and other security measures to deter thieves from stealing. Welcome learners. This is Black Slides Online. In the school revising the NED paper. This is Agriculture Paper 1. Welcome once again. It is pleasing to have you on this platform. Revise with us as much as you can so that you are fully prepared for your exams, which are coming in a few days from now. Welcome, learners. All right, another one is the input rationing to prevent wastage of production resources. All right, so make sure you apportion the inputs accordingly and economically without to avoid or to prevent wastage. You should also contract farming. You should do contract farming to deal with price fluctuation, meaning that you should have some contracts with maybe buyers, all right, on an agreed price, okay, so that when you produce, even when prices change, you are not affected. You still going to you still are going to sell your product on the price that you agreed with your contract buyers. Welcome, learners. My name is Mr. Pochilola once again, your teacher. Must also practice crop rotation, which helps a farmer to have something to depend on in times of crop failure. So these are the ways to deal with risks and uncertainties. Okay, in case there are such uncertainties, practicing these from time to time will help you to mitigate the losses. Figure below shows a parasite in livestock production. Use it to answer the questions that follow. All right, so identify the parasite. This parasite looks like a snake, but it's a tapeworm. So don't call it a snake, it's a tapeworm. All right, so mention one way in which the parasite affects the livestock production. How does this affect the production of cattle, goats, sheep, and the others? This sex digested food is found in the intestines of an animal. So it actually sucks the digested food from the animal's intestines, depriving the animal of the essential nutrients to grow and develop. Welcome once again. It also causes wounds and sucks blood from the animal's intestines, leading to anemia or loss of red blood cells. As a result, the animal may die or may become too sick to be productive. sorry. So we are saying inoculation encourages node formation and hence promoting network. Table below shows marketing costs for pineapples. Use it to answer questions that follow. So observe marketing channel. We have use of farmer, middleman, processing company, processing whose duty to process, scanning profits and all that. Retail transport whose swing cars, transport expenses, advertising and profits from the same. What type of marketing channel is presented in the table? This is called indirect marketing channel, also known as the 4-tier marketing channel. Calculate the marketing costs for the retailer. Marketing costs. So the marketing costs for the retailer. Will involve all the activities here which he incurs. So just have to add up these figures, 5,000, add 5,000, and then 20,000. That will make it 30,000. So the marketer, the retailer would incur these costs. Calculate the total marketing margin for the whole marketing. So the total marketing margin is equal to the retail price minus the farm gate price. So the retail price is 77,000 less 10,000, which is the farm gate price, giving you 67,000. What planting materials are used to propagate or to plant the following plants are sexual ginger. Ginger uses rhizomes. Rhizomes are basically underground stems. So for ginger, you plant material underground in form of stem. It's called a rhizome. And then sisal. Sisal uses saga. It's like bananas. Welcome learners. This is Black Slides Online _ Invite your friends to join us so that they too can prepare well for the MSCE examination. Know all of them so that you can give you any two. It shouldn't be difficult for you to do. All right. Section B, welcome to Section B, in which the candidates are supposed to answer all questions in essay form, explaining any 5 factors to consider when selecting livestock for breeding. Factors for selecting livestock for breeding, for reproduction, in other words. Right, so the factors include first growth. They can reach, so that they can reach mature weight fast enough, hence saving feeding costs. So when choosing whether they want to rear chickens or anything, goats like sheep and many others, make sure you consider the rate at which they grow. So fast growing livestock will save you money. Also, you should have mild temperament. Animals that are hostile are not easy to handle, so you need to look for those animals with a docile character. They should not be too get angry anyhow. That's to put it simply. So they should have a mild temperament, slow to anger. They should not be volatile animals. For easy handling, they should be good mothering. They should have good mothering ability so that they can protect their young ones from danger, even when you are not there. All right? They should have high fertility rates. Animals can breed regularly and have shorter calving intervals to produce more offsprings. All right? High survival rates should have low mortality rates to increase livestock numbers. They should not just be dying anyhow. All right, they should be good health. They should be of good health to prevent death of animals, and they should also adapt to the environment. Animals that can adapt easily to harsh conditions to survive. Should have good body conformation. Animals should be well shaped for a purpose like large udder for milk. All right, so these are the factors to consider when selecting livestock for breeding. Welcome, learners. Question number 12. Explain any 5 ways in which agroforestry deals with climate change. 5 ways. 1. It reduces soil erosion. Trees reduces the speed of water runoff. All right, so agroforestry is reducing soil erosion. Okay, in order to reduce the speed of surface runoff. It improves soil fertility since leguminous trees fix nitrogen in the soil. It also provides medical products. Parts of plants such as leaves and fruits are used to treat diseases, thereby keeping a healthy nation, Malawian nation, through heads. Providing shade, protecting crops, livestock from excessive temperatures. Trees are used as a feed for livestock. Plant leaves are used as a fodder for animals. It helps to increase crop yields as decomposed tree leaves add nutrients to soil for crop use. So these are the ways by which agroforestry, the growing of trees, deals with climate change. Welcome, learners. This is Black Slides, revising an agriculture paper from NED. It is a pleasure to be with you on this platform. Lastly, but not least, question number 13. Describe any 5 effects of population distribution on the marketing of tomatoes. So here the two variables we need to relate. Population distribution, that's an independent variable which affects marketing of tomatoes. So population distribution affects the direction of flow of tomatoes. Tomatoes will be taken to areas with large populations since they offer attractive markets due to high demands. So where there are many people, there's need for more tomatoes. It affects the length of marketing channel of tomatoes. High populated areas have long marketing channels because there are many agencies there. It affects quality of tomatoes sold. Tomatoes sold in high populated areas are of good quality due to competition among traders. And it also affects the mode of transport used to take tomatoes to the market. In small populations, agents use head roads, wheelbarrows, because the roads are small and more advanced mode of transport are used to highly populated areas. It determines the prices of tomatoes. Areas with low population density experience low prices due to low demand. It affects the quality of tomatoes required. More tomatoes will be taken to areas with high population due to high demand. Welcome learners. It also affects the choice of people to target. Tomatoes promotion depend on age, income, education level in order to get maximum sales. Know all of these so that you can give NA5 in an exam. It also affects the types of advertising methods used. Mass media, trade fairs, exhibition, agriculture shows are highly common in highly populated areas since it is easier to reach many consumers at one time. Welcome learners. In case you have questions, don't just hesitate to reach out to us on the number shown here. We'll be glad to share with you the information you need. My name once again is Mr. Paul Chilola.